two, one. All right, we should be live. It says we're live. Are we live? Someone,
Uh, nope,
someone, please confirm that
bro,
we are in fact live.
bro.
Bruh. And am I gonna have to start this stream throwing shade on OBS? Is that how this is gonna work now? Is that my new life?
It might be. Is there a problem with it?
No, I'm not, dude. I'm not an OBS. I want to know if it's on YouTube because I can't. I suppose I could use my phone and you know
No,
manage it
you're
that
live
way.
on YouTube. I'm with
Okay, sweet, sweet, fantastic. All right, so welcome to session zero of the new campaign we're going to be starting. It's going to be the Holy Grail, the quest for the Holy Grail. Our compatriots will be fighting and commiserating and uh, hacking their way through a world called Gotham. Now, for those of you who are not very familiar with this game, there are many dimensions and worlds and realms in this game, and all of them are different. Some of them are high fantasy, Lord of the Rings esque. Some of them are like the Haven realms, where they're like proverbial Gardens of Eden, and some of them are well destitute. Some of them have no magical properties whatsoever. Some of them are like our home native plane of Earth. Some of them are barren, like Pluto, for example. Um, Gotham is merely one rung above Earth in terms of magical infusion. There are demonic entities, vampires, uh, gas and geist, and things that go bump in the night, and the magic of its inhabitants are is very much like unto what you saw in the Supernatural series. That's what I would tell a normie. Now, if I'm talking to a Magic the Gathering player, we're playing in Innistrad. That's where we're playing. Innistrad is Gotham. Gotham is Innistrad. If you need any more clarification, there it is. If you don't know what Innistrad is, Google it, I suppose. But for those of you who are familiar with Magic the Gathering, we will. The setting is Innistrad. Basically, it's a Gotham, but I will be giving it more of a supernatural, hard and dirty, um, more of a complicated ritualistic magic system kind of feel. That's how we're going to be administrating this particular campaign. Any questions, Gid?
Nope.
All right, so we're here to create the character for this gentleman. Now, you said you wanted to use Nocto. Am
Yes.
I remembering that correctly? Okay.
Yeah, your
Um.
original black character you posted a couple months ago.
All right. Now, do you? I shudder to think. Um. Well, here's the problem. This is Shades 2.0. So what I made may or may not be valid anymore. So
We could
what
use
we're
them as
gonna
a baseline and go.
well, I don't know if you've taken a look at the rule book. Because you now have power and toughness, like assigned from character creation. Like that's the reason we're doing this, is we're gonna help the audience, the people watching at home, go through see what character creation looks like in the Shades of Dominion. And I've pulled up the PDF here, beginning with character creation. Now, how character creation starts, unlike before where you would just choose one of two builds, um, you now essentially start your stat line by choosing an essence, or for those of you who are more traditional, an alignment. This is what will determine your baseline for your powers in the shade. So, since you're role playing Nocto, Nocto is a corruption character. So already you have a few restrictions as far as your essences. You can go with a cruel Nocto, a maverick Nocto, a devious Nocto, or a nefarious Nocto? How guilty are you?
Uh, I must I must stick to my style as mono black and try to go with nefarious. Um,
Nefarious?
yeah.
All right, you want to go with a nefarious character? Cool story. All right, so let's mark that down first. So we're gonna go with nefarious, which is good. I'm glad I reset all this because what was I gonna say? Yeah, because when I first started him out for you before this all began, I'd actually put him as a maverick. So I'm glad that we like double check that with you. So he's going to start with the baseline of 4 power and 2 toughness is what he's going to get to start. Right off the bat, he's also going to get, I believe, he's going to start with 2 points in corruption. But that's more of a formality. He's going to end up with 5 points in corruption anyway by the time this build out is done. So we can just skip the formalities there. So let's go to the back to character creation and back to your essence. Do, do, do. Yeah, I'm in OBS. I'm operating multiple windows. If I'm a little slow, trust me, it is not. It's mainly user error, and this character creator is, shall we say, thorough. So it's rather massive. There's a lot to cut through, and because each essence has its own build out and each its own variety of potential characters. So, um, because it's done that way, I had to basically scroll all the way down to the bottom to Nefarious. All right, here we are. Here we are. We are in the Nefarious. Now, the Nefarious embody a malevolent and anarchic nature, driven by a desire to spread chaos and destruction for personal gain. Those who possess this characteristic are ruthless and unpredictable, often reveling in the suffering and turmoil they cause. They are guided by a twisted sense of freedom, rejecting all forms of authority and societal norms in favor of their own dark impulses. This is sounding accurate so far?
Mm-hmm.
This quality
Yeah.
is marked by a complete lack of empathy and a willingness to use any means necessary to achieve their goals, no matter how cruel or destructive. A nefarious individual values power and domination, making decisions based on a perverse logic that prioritizes their own desire over above all else. Their actions are always aligned with the desire to sow discord and fear, ensuring that their presence is a constant threat to order and stability. All right. So, because you have uh, 5 corruption, you're in this here Excel sheet. Your skills have already been pretty much assigned. Let me take out the backgrounds because we haven't gotten there yet. We don't know what your background is yet. So let's take off those bonuses. Because right now you're just corruption. You don't have a particular flavor just yet. You're going to start with 30 movement. We're going to put that up here. Da-da-da. And next, we are going to look at what your resistances are. Now, uh, again, we've already put in your starting power and toughness. That's another new aspect of this character creation. Your build out begins with a predetermined set of power and toughness. Whereas in the previous 1.0 version, the player really didn't have power. They just had a damage modifier. Um, but another thing that we added here are your resistances. Resistances are new, and we'll go over what they are as we go through the build out. So, but to start, we're giving you da-da-da, +2 sanity. So 2 sanity, 4 coil, 2 grit, and 0 everywhere else. And back to there. All right, so nefarious corruption backgrounds. Your background describes how your character chose to express their essence in their past life. For each job, add the Dominion bonus. We've already added your Dominion bonuses into the five. That's already built in. As I said, that was pretty much predetermined. You will be gaining a domain that they will gain library points in, and they will get a resistance bonus. In addition, they will have um, a list of items that were on their person when they awakened, and you will choose one of these items from your background to become your shade vessel. Um, Also, for each of these backgrounds, you will have a set of skills that you are specifically trained in, and that's why I had to take off the background from previous uh, background bonuses that were already there. And lastly, you'll add your movement bonus. Now you know that corruption's slow, so you're not going to get a movement bonus. If there
Yeah.
was a mixture of dominions, you might chance to get like an extra five movement, but you're not going to get any. You're going to be stuck at that 30. So don't worry about that. So, have you decided what Nocto's past life was going to be for your reiteration of him in this game?
No, I honestly haven't even taken too big of a look at the new book.
Hmm.
I was kind of wanting to go over it fresh with you as a new player, rather than someone who's already read through and understands what's going on. Get that permanent
All right.
uh tutorial out there.
Okay. So, do you want to roll for it? Because, okay,
Let me find out where we are.
Nocto, come again,
Nefarious.
the page
Looking for the
we're
backgrounds.
on is 92, if you want to
Two.
follow along.
Mine doesn't have a page. It just has one long one. So I'll scroll down until I find it.
Yeah, nefarious corruption backgrounds. So yeah, nefarious corruption. It's way down there. It's like a third through the book, a third or like a fourth through.
Scroll. Scroll Awakening. Maverick. Okay, yeah, because it's the last one labeled.
Yeah, well, second to last. There's nefarious destruction as well after nefarious corruption. Um, but since you're
Cool.
recreating Noct and you are new with this creation system, for Nocto, I would personally choose the background of either a hypnotist, a mercenary, or a smuggler.
Let me take a look at them. Let's see. Where did you find those at? I
Um,
see the chart.
yeah. So
Let's see. Movement 30 minutes full action.
so hypnotist, mercenary, and smuggler.
Okay. Oh,
And
Bounty
I
Hunter.
just yeah. Um,
Okay, I see.
you do.
Yeah.
So
Um, I feel like hmm, was it Mercenary just read? Bounty Hunter. I feel like Bounty Hunter would be a pretty good one instead of Mercenary.
or even hypnotist.
Um, yeah,
Okay, so hypnotist or bounty hunter.
I'm gonna go with Bounty Hunter.
All right, so bounty hunter it is. Um, so we're gonna say that you're gonna write down that your background is the bounty hunter. Come on now. Background is bounty hunter. And the bonuses for bounty hunter are +1 corruption. We already given you that. Um, do and for the domain, what you do for the domain is you don't put anything in there just yet. You go down to the library points and you guys just mark it off, put like a star in it. Because that'll be determined later. So you get a star in the library points of death for right now. We're going to add one sanity. So you have 3 sanity, 6 coil, and 3 grit. And then we have your shade vessel option. So you have the lantern, the med kit, or the pair of manacles.
Let me do a quick Google search as to what that last item even looks like.
It's old-fashioned handcuffs. You're being clasped
Yeah, I see
in
'em.
iron.
We'll go with the medical kit,
Okay. Okay.
med kit.
Okay. Shade vessel. We're gonna have the med kit. All right. And for your background skills, endurance gonna be 5. Heal, insight. Holy crap. Nature and religion. All right. So I see what you did there. You cheeky. Anyways, and no more addition to movement. All right. So, getting out of there. So we're gonna scroll down further, and now we're gonna discover your awakening. How did you awaken to the shade? How did you become the shade mage you are now? Um, the how was I gonna say? Yes, you're oh my gosh, that's actually, I'm glad I do this because I'm catching errors. Because essentially every single one of your awakenings should have basically the same bonus, +1 corruption and a a bonus to your power and toughness. Um, but as I said, we already added your corruption score bonuses to the straight up 5 that it was going to land up to be anyway.
Mhm.
And let's just add your power and toughness. Uh, your power is 6, and your toughness is 3 as a base. Um,
Various construction. Various. Did I overshoot it?
mhm. All right, and
Ah, there we go. Okay.
so which one were you going to choose? You have an option of 1 through 6, even though the bonuses are basically the same. Um, how did Nocto become a shade mage?
I like the idea of absorbing a shade vessel. It feels like it would be something he would do as someone that's focused on his own prolonging.
Like it. I like it a lot. Let's do it. Um, absorb the shade vessel. There we go. And there's Viking. Absorb the shade vessel. That is in there. And after that, we are going to talk about shade vessel types. Now, this is important because unlike the previous game, your starting shade vessel comes with its own unique affliction. And that affliction is that every spell created using this shade vessel must include at least one spell template of its library type. So, for example, every spell made using a demonic shade vessel must include at least one ambition spell template. Make sense?
Okay, yeah.
Now, what is cool is you already have points in death, but if you would recall, Nocto was not a pure death mage. He was a darkness mage. So this would be the part where you can kind of balance that out, or you can just go full death mage if you want, or you can go ambition. It's up to you.
Yeah, let me here.
Phew.
Well, so from what I understood about him is that he was wanting to outclass the rest and outlive the rest.
Yeah, he was, but he was also Nocto was incomplete. One of his first goals as a character was to complete his shade summon, which he wanted to turn into a champion. And that champion was the shadow symbiote that he would cast that would exhaust itself onto him and grant him additional it would give him a power bonus, and it would give him um fright and initiative in combat. So it would make him slightly faster, and it would make him incredibly difficult to fight. And even if they were capable of fighting him, they would it would take a mental toll on them as they would gain stress counters from fighting him alone.
Yeah. With
So
I
that
think
was
Abyssal for his type here.
okay. And that was pretty much what I had presumed because, it's not Nocto without going into that abyssal darkness domain. So let's go back over to the Excel sheet and put that all in. So it will be abyssal to abyssal. Now for the stain ability, um, oh, and we're just going to put that little asterisk mark in the darkness column over here.
Did you make cookies?
Hmm.
Okay. Talking to my girlfriend.
Oh,
Hi, Arden.
Ardent, are you here?
He was
Oh,
in chat.
he's in the chat. Awesome. Do, do, do. I'm obviously too busy to watch the stream. I apologize, everybody. I am clearly not on the ball here.
Yes.
Um, do, do, do,
Yeah.
okay, so onwards and upwards. Um, huh, okay, there I am. Oh, there's Ardent. How's it going, sir? Mingleton. Wait a minute. Hang on. Are you're on the Discord, Ardent, are you not?
Not at the moment.
Oh, he's not. Well, excuse me, everybody. I need to I need to address that. That's a problem. God damn it. Um. Da-da-da-da-dum. Let me get him an invite. What? Ardent, I swear to God, I don't know if I'm responsible for this. It's been a while, sir. Invite people. Ardent, invite. All right, you has been sent invites. Nah, yeah, yeah, I'm sympathetic to that. Okay, so let me get back to business to defeat the Huns and all that jazz. All right, there we go. Now I have visuals. All right. Oh wow. That went away. Hang on. Okay, there we go. All right, that everything's back. I apologize for that little blurb there. Boomerang. I have way too many freaking windows open. Uh,
Welcome to my world.
yeah. We all do it. We're all guilty. We're all scum. Oh, there we go. All right. Now we'll just wait for Arden to pop up because we are almost done with your character, sir.
I think I'm sitting at like 70 active Opera tabs,
Oh,
plus
god
Discord.
damn, sir.
Yeah, plus Discord, plus Steam, plus a mod launcher, plus 2 games.
It shut down your opera for fuck's sake. Look, no, golly. Okay, so for Abyssal, did you take a look at at this? This is another new thing about the character creation. Is your shade vessel comes with stain and siphon effects.
Did see that. I was reading up a little bit on it, which is why I was having a hard time trying to figure out which one I was going to go with on it.
All right, now, um, so since you're looking at it, um, tell me what you think and explain to the audience what it does.
Uh, Nefarious Corruption, Shade Vessels, Abyssal, Demonic, and Necromantic. Hello! Welcome to the call.
Can you fellows hear me?
I
Yes,
can hear you.
and
Excellent.
and the audience can hear you too. I am leaving up your
Oh,
beautiful
those.
voice loud and clear. He's filthy. Anyways,
How dare you, sir?
Arden identifies as Texan.
Am I going with what my Shade Vessel does, or what
Identify as Texan
each
or
of the types
Tennessee,
do
thank you.
under the options?
Sorry, come again?
Am I describing what my Shade Vessel does?
Yes, what your shade vessel does. Like, what does overshadow do? For your shade vessel, like what's the effect?
So, whenever I go to pull Stain as a half action, so I can start preparing my spells, it allows me to add stress counters to someone else, which I believe is supposed to negatively affect the target with debuffs to their attack rolls.
It not only adds debuffs to their attack rolls, but certain darkness spells um will have their own debilitations. Like for example, feel my pain. If they have um if they have excess of stain runes on their character that are greater than their sanity, then they'll lose a wound. That's what a feel my pain does. Is you are inflicting your insanity to the point where it's physically harming another person. But you have to keep adding that stress. So when you sip from your shade vessel as a half action and you stay in the shade, that corruption shade acts as a catalyst for increased stress on your targets.
For the next target, because it's
Yes.
specified to its next target.
Yeah. Yeah. Just your next target.
However, on the backside of it, anytime I do this, I also have to exhaust a number of spells equal to my
No.
sip. No?
No.
Is that
It's
what I'm reading?
no. It's not. That's not when you stain. That's when you siphon. Whenever you draw from the realm or from the
Okay.
world, um, the shade just automatically punishes you. It's not bad. It's bad enough you have shade afflicts, but now you also have a shade vessel who's like, how dare you siphon from the realm? Like there's an additional deterrent to just siphoning willy nilly as a new character.
Hmm.
So I thought that was a neat little thing to add to character creation in these specific shade vessels. Um, So here's your build out. You are a nefarious back. Your name is Nocto. You are a nefarious bounty hunter who was awakened by absorbing another shade vessel. Um, your shade vessel is a med kit that has the power of the abyss within it. You have a total sanity of 6. Your coil is 9, your grit is 6, your agency and stamina are both 3. Now let's go back to the rule book for a minute to really flesh these out to to help everyone understand. Well, first we're going to talk about shade vessels. Um, Nothing much here has changed except for the limitation on library points, or not just library points, but the kind of spells you can create. Stain has stayed largely the same. It's still pretty much the Warhammer ballistic skill roll. Shade vessel types we've already gone over. There are different shade vessel types now with their each with a benefit and a drawback. The siphon roll um, is equal to your combined Dominion scores. That has not changed. And every result of 4 plus refills your shade vessel by 1 sip level. What people who have never heard of the system before don't know is that there's a blind resource pool called the shade trap, where this basically says this is the pool of sip levels contained in this realm at this time. So the players don't see it. Only the Shade Master does. So every time the players siphon from the realm, they deduct the results of the siphon rolls from that pool. And then they have to role play what's happening to the world after it's done. So it's a very it's a very it's a very involved system. So the siphon rules, big deal. Sip level hasn't changed. Shade tests and cantrips. Um, this is a little different, and Kitty, you might like this, you might not, but we're going to go through the shade test slash cantrip bonus. These are excellent tools to help you explore the realms. These stats are equal to your highest Dominion score, and they always scale together. Um, Cantrips. Everyone remembers what cantrips are. They're basically bonuses to your skill test rolls. Sometimes a Shade Mage needs a little extra assistance beyond their mortal capabilities. The Shade is more than happy to oblige. Using the Shade to assist in everyday activities or to perform basic tasks are called cantrips. After having failed A skill test. A shade mage may pay one unstained shade or a stained shade if they don't have any available to add their cantrip bonus to their failed roll. This bonus can only be applied once. So, if you fail the roll within 5, you pay a shade, and you auto succeed. It's not a critical success. Um, do do do. So yeah, give me a second. I have Skinner. He's talking with me on Facebook. He's like, I just got this. I'm like, dude, it's fine. We've already made your characters, so me and him might actually present that character on our own. But his character's already made, and it's pretty awesome. I'm actually excited.
I do want to say something.
Sure.
1.0, cantripping was a lot more painful to do. It was a lot more resource intensive.
Really?
It was fitting the game. It was one stained or two unstained because you had to pay a stained shade,
Mm.
hurting you from being able to cast more spells because you're pulling away from the stain that you need to actually cast your spells. This, with the only being unstained, feels really, shall I say, liberal.
Well, to be fair, we are trying to imitate the reality of Magic the Gathering, which a shade mage is basically a planeswalker. So, um, I don't mind cantrips being a liberal mechanic. That's actually on par with what I wanted. But shade tests, I think, got a little more intense. Shade test rules going on occur at the discretion of the Shade Master. These are rules that represent any basic action that the Shade could reasonably perform, such as sensing the Shade in a nearby area or object, translating unknown languages, speaking unknown languages, powering a basic contraption, so on and so forth. Um, Anything that you could reasonably do as a magical being that's just outside the purview of, meta rules, not necessarily things like, uh, how would you say? What is that cantrip that always gets abused? Whether it's thaumaturgy or prestidigitation. Um, kind of that level, but obviously none of the abusive sides of it. Obviously, the Shade Master has discretion over that. Um, so those are shade tests, but shade tests also have an additional property in which they're also used for exploring and essentially leveling up. If you want to boost your character at any point in the game, or you're actively trying to um, use the environment and the conditions around you to get an extra edge, you'd make a shade test. If you've just defeated a monster in the game and you said, wow, that would make an awesome shade summon. What can I glean from it? You would make a shade test, and you might be granted a library point to be used for creation of a shade summon that looked relatively like that creature. So that's kind of that's what shade tests are for. Um, and also at the bottom it says, okay, the roll for shade test is typically 3d6 plus the shade test bonus as set by the Shade Master with a base DC of 10. Alternatively, the Shade Master may let the Shade Mage use the shade capacity of a particular domain they are actively seeking to enhance. So again, if you are, for example, if Nocto was traveling around saying, I want to make this this darkness spell more powerful, and he's actively looking for darkness influence, darkness knowledge, that kind of thing, he could use his domain score in darkness to replace that bonus. Any questions?
Okay. Nope.
Okay. Spell battery has not changed. It always starts at 1. It can be increased with spells or aspects, but bonuses are usually temporary and or highly situational. During your turn, you may take a half action to make a spell battery roll. To do so, simply roll a number of d6 equal to your spell battery dice and choose the highest result. You may then ready any exhausted spell in your library of that spell battery or lower. All right. So, resistances. Your resistances are based on these are the stats that you use to kind of counteract the new rune casting system. Have you taken a good look at that yet, Kitty?
Like I said, I have taken a look at nothing. I wanted to come at this as the noobiest of noobs for the most basic of tutorials for other viewers.
Okay. So, as a shade mage, as you experience through your character creation, you have inherent resistance against certain kinds of spells and rune casting. Your natural resistance is initially determined by your own individual essence and your background.
Hello.
Sanity represents your innate resistance to mental attacks and spells that target the mind and perception. Whenever the number of stress or focus runes exceeds your sanity and a skill test roll is failed, a debilitation is activated. The standard debilitation is becoming exhausted. Now, with spells like Feel My Pain, that debilitation is changed to losing a wound. Your sanity is your toughness plus the bonuses granted by your essence and background. So, for example, Nocto has a sanity of 6, making him highly resistant. Well, not even highly, but moderately resistant to mind spells. Coil is the strength of the connection between your body and soul. So whenever the number of light or curse runes exceeds your coil, you permanently lose 1 toughness each time you become exhausted. In the case of curse runes, an exception is made for becoming exhausted from making a primary attack. So if you have curse runes in excess of your coil and you make a primary attack, that does not cause the losing of a toughness. Now, losing a toughness to the point where you go down to 0 is like automatic death. Like if you've ever played Elden Ring and you hit that death blight meter, yeah, auto death. Simple as. Grit. And again, coil is your toughness plus the bonuses from your essence and background. Grit represents your will to push forward despite physical or psychological distraction. As a half action, you may remove bleed or frenzy runes equal to your grit at the end of your turn, so long as there are less of those runes on you than your grit. So if you have a grit of 6, as Kitty has, and you have earned 5 bleed runes, by the end of your turn, you can just wipe them out. You can just ignore them. But if you get more than 5, you're in for a world of hurt. Agency. Agency represents your will to maintain your confidence, liberty, and independence despite any form of guilt, pressure, anxiety, or shame. As a half action, you may remove fetter runes equal to your agency so long as your agency is equal to or greater than the amount of fetter runes on you as a half action. And stamina represents your body's ability to absorb and endure toxins and other extreme metabolic enhancements to your vital systems. Whenever the number of poison or serum runes exceeds your stamina, roll a d6, and if the result is 4 or higher, you lose a wound. In the case of serum runes, each time you lose a wound that way, you automatically remove a serum rune from your person. So, other items. Your wounds represent the amount of times you can take damage that exceeds your toughness and not die. Once you're down to 0 wounds, you're dead. You start with wounds equal to your highest Dominion score. In the case of Nocto, that would be a 5. Protection points, you don't have any because you're not wearing any armor. Shade pool, you don't have anything in your shade pool. You haven't sipped or siphoned for shade yet. Spell domains. Um, yeah, this is domains replace the attributes. So that's all you need to know about that. Your shade capacity is determined by the dominion score of that domain. So there are 3 domains for each dominion. For the dominion of Aether, there are the domains of illusion, knowledge, and manipulation. Both of you should be familiar with that system. Obviously, we go over the spell limitations, shade capacity of the domains, how that's affected. Both of you should be familiar with that. Next steps, your unarmed attack, and this is something you might appreciate, Kitty, because it's pretty it's no longer as ambiguous as it used to be. Your unarmed
Mhm.
attack is the highest among your acrobatics, athletics, bluff, and streetwise. Your unarmed defense skill for your unarmed attack roll is the lowest among those 4. And if there's a tie, you get to choose which one that you tied for. Your unarmed damage is equal to your power. It's no longer just 1.
Cool.
All right, so going back to your character, we're going to start with your starting spells if you want. So you have Asterisk and Darkness and Death, so you get 5 library points in each. So essentially, if you're going to use all 10 of these library points, all of your spells are going to cost at least 2 shade because of your shade vessel limitation. Um, your shade vessel basically says that for each spell you create, you have to have at least 1 darkness spell attached to it.
Okay. That works with me. Let me scroll through and go look at the spells. Help out
All
with you
right.
on that. How far down is that? About halfway or at the end of the book? Oh no, I'm right here. I found it.
Let me go back. You did. Nice.
Curse.
Um,
Ooh. Let's see. Corruption spell template, rune casting, corruption spells. Blighted
yes,
curse.
let's start with the rune casting for corruption because you don't know what rune casting is yet.
No. I'm looking
So,
at this on the wrong form. If you were delete or so.
okay. All right. So, corruption spell templates, rune casting in corruption spells. Now, I need to explain myself as to why the hell I put this in the 2.0 version. In Magic the Gathering, there are a bunch of spells, even in the common low 1 mana cost, that have ridiculously powerful abilities when you apply them in the classic role play scenario. Things like uh, Exile can be done, and if you're playing white, it can be cast for 1 mana as a common. So to reconcile these powerful effects, I created essentially a meter for justifying these powerful effects. So because we're creating Nocto and we're going to talk about corruption spells, we're going to go over rune casting in corruption. And the first runes that we're going to be talking about is blight runes. When anything has blight runes, it is considered to be blighted. Blight runes give uh, offer a -1 debuff to all skill test rolls. And when the number of blight runes on the target exceeds the target's coil, they will immediately lose 1 toughness each time they become exhausted. Toughness 0 is instant death. As we said, this is kind of like the Elden Ring Death Blight meter fill. Blight rune removal. These rules are specific to blight runes, but they're very similar for curse runes as well. Removing blight runes in the midst of combat is a daunting task. Any character may remove all blight runes on them with a DC of 20 plus blight runes religion check as a full action. So if you're going to try and remove them, they've already exceeded your coil, which means you're in deep shit because if your coil's 9 and it's 20 plus 9 or 20 plus 10 at least, you're going to have to hit a 30 or higher. Very, very daunting. And that's as a full action. So it's going to take your entire turn to do in combat. Non-combat, a Shade Mage may remove Blight Runes outside of combat by paying Stain Shade equal to Blight Runes to be removed, or take a long rest. It's going to take you a full long rest to doing nothing to get those Blight Runes off of you. Also, a DC check of 20 plus Blight Runes religion check will also still remove the runes, but getting half or higher will also delay the debilitation effects until your next combat encounter. So you can have, if you make a half success or like a, what would you call it? A dirty success, if you want to call it that, you can delay the debilitation. You can delay the removal of your toughness until your next combat encounter. Otherwise, you're just going to start, decaying away. Now, because we're talking about removing toughness, we now have to address recovering the toughness. To recover toughness, the Shade Mage must take an extended rest. This requires the payment of a sip level from your Shade Vessel and a minimal activity for a prolonged period, generally the length of an entire gaming session, where the Shade Mage does not take any full actions or use their Shade Vessel for anything other than tuning into their coil. So you're meditating. You're in a point of R&R. They may participate in combat, but if they make any full actions, the extended rest is broken and they must try again at another time. So recovering toughness is no joke. Curse runes are essentially the same thing, except they're not a debuff. They are a buff. They make you stronger. They make you more capable. They don't add power to your attacks, but they do make your attacks more effective. So, when the number of curse runes on the target exceeds the target's coil, they will permanently lose 1 toughness each time they become exhausted, except for when they exhaust themselves from attacking. Again, curse runes have that little caveat: if they exhaust themselves from an attack, then it does not count. The curse does not take hold. It's if they fail in other ways that the price is then paid. So, any questions?
Nope. I do
All
have a
right.
question, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself.
Okay.
I've got the 10 library points, 5 and 5. Can I pull anything from, let's see, ambition? As long as
No.
I've got, no. Okay.
No. You have no library points in ambition.
So then I'm going back to look at the spell quickly.
But looking at ambition, like for example, Death Bloom, you pay 1
Mhm.
shade or 1 corruption shade, you gain a blight rune, and all enemies within a 10-foot radius lose 1 wound. So that's how we're kind of adding a more a deeper resonance with the rune casting. Aspect cells, demonic appetite. The target gains an aspect of +3 power and toughness. but at the beginning of your turn, you gain a curse rune while this aspect is active. So the demonic appetite is cursing you. It's giving you a something that will eventually harm you. All right. And so going down to darkness.
Yeah.
So again, feel my pain. Target loses a wound if it has stress counters greater than its sanity. Then you have traumatize, which says place a stress counter on the target. For each stress rune, the target suffers a -1 penalty to all skill test rolls. This target cannot make full action actions until the end of its next turn if it has stress runes equal to or greater than its sanity. So that's another that's another debilitation that could be changed. Now, for example, now in addition to this, if if they fail the skill test roll now, they won't automatically exhaust. The debilitation is now they can't make full actions until the end of its next turn. But basically, they can't take full actions as long as they have stress runes greater than their sanity. Then we go down to horrify, where this target cannot make any spell battery rolls or shade rolls until the end of its turn if they have stress runes equal to or greater than their sanity. So for you would use traumatize for PvE and horrify for PvP. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay, so
so
I see 4 spells I want to pick up.
okay,
Traumatize, Horrify,
okay,
Servant of Terror, and Shadow Symbiote. Those were the 4 I wanted to pick up off the bat.
okay.
Just looking at what they do and how they work.
All right. So Savant of Terror, the Shadow Symbiote, um, horrify and traumatize.
Yes.
All right, awesome.
And then
And
go down Death just to give it a little bit of balance between the 2 spells I have.
what?
Can I fuse Fatal Wound with the creature?
You mean cast a creature and then cast Fatal Wound on something else on the same turn with
No,
the
no, no.
same spell?
Meld its effect onto a creature. It has when this creature deals damage instead. Kind of giving it its own
No,
aspect. No? Okay.
no. How would I?
Oh wait, no,
Yeah,
it used to be exhaust how we did that. Exhaust
yes,
the creature.
yes. And it that has its own cost, and that might include an extra library point. We would have to actually hang on. So your question is if you wanted to have a creature that had the ability to add fatal wounds, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Essentially? Okay.
Yeah.
So, spell creation. Making a champion, spell workshop. Spells themselves are made up of a few parts being their name, their shade cost, their spell effect, spell battery, ready exhausted, any additional indicators for shade summons, so on and so forth. So, spell twining is when you combine two different kinds of spells as you combine their templates. Twining can be as simple as combining unchanneled spell with a channeled spell and choosing by spending extra shade to upgrade the channeled spell to an unchanneled spell. So basically what you want to do is you're asking me, I want to add an unchanneled spell to a shade summon or an aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. If you were to do a one-time cast, just one shot as the creature is being summoned, zero effect. You would just add the templates as they are. If you wanted it to be a shade cost and exhaust, you would add one unstained shade to its cost. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted the symbiote with the Fatal
Fatal
Wound,
Wound.
it would be 2 Corruption Shade and 1 Unstained Shade. Okay? But you would have to, uh, each time you have to pay that Corruption Shade and exhaust it. Which,
Mhm.
if it was Symbiote, that would be really redundant. Um, Now, if you wanted to be the Shade Cost or exhaust, either one, you would spend an additional library point. So you would spend 3 library points, and you would add 2 unstained shade to the cost. So it would cost 3 library points, and at the end of creating it, it would cost 4 shade to cast.
3 library points, 4 shade to cast, and then how would that spell read?
Now the spell would read is exhaust Shadow Symbiote or pay 1 corruption shade, and um, you would distribute the effects of Fatal Wound.
Okay. Let's see.
So it would be either or. So if you just wanted to exhaust it, it would cost 4 with 3 library points. If you just wanted to pay the shade cost, as in have that spell always active, you just pay the corruption shade. As long as that creature's summoned, you automatically still have that spell, like a fatal wound turret, as it were.
Mhm.
That would be also 4, uh, a shade cost of 4 and 3 library points.
Okay. I kind of like it. I think we'll do that. That'll be the last spell we pick up off the rip on character creation. We'll learn more as we develop further into the game.
Nice. All right. So, give me your thoughts on the rune casting. What's your what, what's your feel for it? Just because you know how this game played before. Um,
It
would rune
adds
casting?
a whole new mechanic to the game that might be a bit much for someone to get accustomed to.
Okay.
Um, I don't think it. I think it separates it from being too newbie friendly, but at the same
Okay.
time, I think it allows for a lot more interesting events to happen for the advanced players.
Well, okay, and you're not wrong, but let's face it, most RPGs have something like this. That isn't as newbie friendly as it could be. Um, and that's what you just said about more advanced players, like adding complexity and adding kind of like a higher challenge level, is really what justified it for me, because I really wanted to make sure that, I kept thinking to myself, if there was a player that really wanted to focus on developing their character throughout every scenario, they would get really OP really fast. And I need a way of, meeting the challenge of their needs, which would be um, finding adversaries that would become that would be a challenge for them. And that's really what.
So
Um,
you want to counteract the min-maxers and the late game problems that you would deal with in other RPGs.
yeah,
Okay.
and it actually, it kind of works. Like, for example, yeah, a guardian skeleton has frightened immortality, has 10 sanity, 12 coil, 10 grit, agency and stamina 6. Like, this is not something to sneeze at, and it has like 8 toughness, skill bonus of plus 12. powers +3. Like this is the resistances gave me, and what it also does is it allows the Shade Master to tailor um tailor um the scenarios to the weaknesses of the party beyond just the normal BS. Like let's say for some odd reason, I don't know, they all of the party members were had really low history skills scores. So he
Hmm.
just kept making, weapons with, where the defense roll was history. Like, instead of having to do that, you could just, you know, figure out which of their resistances they were not as, up on, and start, hitting pressure there. And I just, and it also adds a deeper role play mechanic where you would have players more invested in learning the nature of what they are facing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it really helps smooth some things out. Um, and it also
The only,
and also it also solved my power scaling dilemma with things like banish, things like wounding, things like um control. Um, there are certain spells where you're supposed to be able to gain control over the target. Um, for example, not even control, but just outright transform.
Mhm.
One of the spells in this upcoming session is going to be the hang on, let me take a look at it. Da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. Please, and don't mind the man behind the curtain. Yeah. Um. Da-da-da. Back one. Imprisoned by the Moon. Imprisoned by the Moon is a common enchantment. It's an aspect spell, but its effect is you can enchant a creature, land, or planeswalker, and the enchanted target becomes a colorless land with tap it, and it adds unstained shade to your shade pool, and it loses all other bills. So basically, you're transforming this massive, whatever target this is, you're transforming the target into into basically a crystal, a soul ring crystal. That's what you've done, and it's a common, and it costs only two unstained shade, one aether shade, and I had to look at, and I had to scratch my head and go, "Oh, how did that work?" And so what I had to come up with is something akin to the following. Let me pull it up real quick. Um, um, well, dang it, I didn't have that open. Shame on me. Um, so let me pull that up really quick. And so what I came up with was a spell template called Imprism, where it's an aspect spell. It you need three domain in knowledge, and you need a score of three for in the spell domains of knowledge and manipulation. And the spell effect is that when this aspect is cast, place one stress rune on the target. At the start of the target's turn, it gains a stress rune. At the end of the target's turn, if it has stress runes greater than its sanity, it becomes an immortal crystal artifact that has exhausted. Add one insane shade to your shade. So basically, it becomes an immortal crystal artifact. that you can use as a soul ring. But what balances that skill level is the fact that it only adds one stress rune per turn. The rest has to come from other sources. The is that like a is that a balanced approach?
I wouldn't know too much about properly until we go through and give it a session or two.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Um, there we go. So so yeah, I made that spell based on that card, and that's going to be a spell template that the players are going to be able to pick up. And if they have a mage that can cast it, they're going to be able to learn and cast that particular spell template. So we're going to be teaching players how to integrate Magic the Gathering cards into their games more holistically. All right, so that is Nocto. I will save a copy of this and send it to you so you can copy pasta onto your own character sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, hmm,
I just sent you my library, so you could add those into your copy.
okay, and name it Nocto stats. And I sent you a PDF of the.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Oh, that looks like garbage. Never mind. I'll redo that. Um, let me reformat that in a little bit. Da-da-dum. Oh goodness gracious. Anyways, all right. So are you ready, Arden?
I actually am. I'm just cleaning up a text document with my character profile on it for you right now.
Okay.
But I'll still go through. I'll still have to go through the session zero character creation because, well, this guy's interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, eh, Kitty, do you want it as an Excel book? Could you read an Excel book? Or what kind of file do I need to put it as? Kitty, you are muted, sir.
I don't know. I haven't used an Excel book. Let me take a look at that. So,
So I tried sending it to you as a PDF, and it was kind of garbage. Um,
oh shit, yeah, that's a Windows title. I could recreate it
okay.
on my own.
I'm gonna send you an open document spreadsheet. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Go back. Upload file. All right, so Nocta was sent again. You're welcome. Have a good day. All right, Ardent, you are up. So,
Okay, just give me 1 second. I'm trying to clean up some of the. I used a combination of Grok and ChatGPT to build the character, and I'm just
really,
trying to clean up. Yeah, I'm just trying to clean up some of the pronunciation or the punctuation.
I tried using AI to build characters when I added the rulebook to
Okay.
the and I said basically read this document and build me the most OP character you can. Grok is retarded. Grok
Yes, it is.
is no. I'm not saying Grok is retarded. What I mean is the layout is human friendly. It is not AI friendly. Hell, I'm not even sure if it's human friendly at this point. Um,
Wow.
okay, so
Can we really trust an AI that's suddenly found religion?
wait, Grok found religion?
Oh yeah, apparently, no, not Grok. Sorry, GPT. ChatGPT apparently has gotten obsessed with Mother Mary, and
Really?
appears to. Yeah, and some of the things it says appear very similar to some of the things I learned when I was a kid in the Anglican Church.
That is, you know what? Um, I don't know because I have because I'm on like LDSX on Twitter and whatnot.
Yeah,
Grok is very Latter Day Saint friendly. I don't know if you know that,
I
but
did not, but I'm not shocked.
Grok does not Grok takes no nonsense when people doubt our Christianity. He's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? So we stand we Latter Day Saints we stand for Grok. All right, so you have a character concept that you have run through AI. All right, give me your best shot, sir.
Okay, well, I'll give you some explanation of it first. I
Okay.
initially started thinking, how would it work if I created a character that was a combination of Indiana Jones and John Constantine?
Ah, fuck.
And from there, yeah, from there,
Just so you know, my first initial reaction. Okay. All right. I'm down.
I, I didn't hear what you said. Sorry.
I said, oh fuck. Just so you know,
But I
my
can,
initial reaction. That was it.
okay, but through the course of talking to Grok and kind of mulling it over in my own head, I ended up closer to something more like Prince Nawada from Hellboy and Hellboy 2, the bad guy from the second Hellboy movie,
Hmm.
and uh, combined him, ironically, with Tybalt from Shakespeare.
Oh,
Yeah. So the
okay.
character's name is Valorn Ilsarai, though I suspect I'm going to end up changing that.
Hmm. Okay. So, what is their essence?
Okay, well, that's where we're going to have to go through the various uh, character creation aspects here.
Okay.
Now, let me just get saved and I'll get it sent over to you.
Oh, okay.
For now, I'll just call him Valorn. There we are. Oh, I need to change the format I'm saving it in. Let's
Hmm.
try
And
with text.
I assume you're sending it to me on Discord.
I will send it through the Discord text, yeah. At
Okay.
least I hope I will. Okay. Sure that actually saved to my desktop. It did. Okay, there's the rich text document. We will keep that. And drag and drop. Okay, let me open the text window here. No, I don't wish to upload that to general. Okay, let's do it this way. There he is. Okay, you should have that shortly.
Okay.
And there's
Oh,
a
wait.
pile of things that may not. Oh, why did that not send? There we go. Okay.
I think they did. All right.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to bring that up on screen, that's fine. I would avoid showing the very bottom, as there is some things there that you may wish to keep to yourself as GM or Shade Master in this case.
Oh, hang on. Let me. Okay, so that's not. Okay, good.
Or I can
Excellent.
just read it from the document I have. It's up to you.
Um, why don't you go ahead and read it to me just real quick while I go back to my. Where did that go? Goodness gracious.
So his name is Valorn Iltharai. He's known
There
as
we
the
go.
Ashthorn Prince, and his titles include Prince of the Withered Court. His race is Eldarin, which is a semi-immortal
Oh,
forest-born. Yeah,
it's like he's a Fae.
surprisingly, essentially, yeah. Between Grok and ChatGPT and my input, it seems to have come up with a very original character.
Okay.
Uh, so he's 612 years old, but looks like he's about 30.
Okay. All right. All
uh,
right.
yeah. He appears, his physical appearance is tall with pale skin with faintly glowing runes, long silvery black hair, which I don't know how that works, but thanks, Grok. Amber eyes with a gray stormy tint. Again, well, might require some polish from me to make that an understandable description. But he wears battle robes of silk and ash leaf, wields a short spear called Viralthar. So I wanted
Mhm.
a specific weapon for a focus. So that'll be that.
Okay.
Let's see. His personality: he is stoic, reserved, but driven by deep sorrow and an idealism. He has a disdain for mankind's recklessness and seeks to restore natural balance through force if need be. And he grieves the decline of his kingdom and the natural world, but holds an unshakable belief that the old ways must be honored. And his motivation is to restore the balance between nature and civilization by reclaiming the power of the dying ley lines and defending his people's ancient ways. And we can restructure this to suit the Shades universe a little more if need be.
Okay.
His
Okay.
Yeah, his struggle is both ideological and personal, an obsession with righting the wrongs done to his realm. And he has inner conflict.
Oh, I love it.
Uh, his
I
inner conflict
love it.
is torn between his role as a protector and the temptation for vengeance. He feels the weight of his kingdom's decline and his own personal isolation. And the fatal flaw and death I will leave for now, because, well, we don't want to give away too many of the story possibilities.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Okay, and I will open the Shades book on another window here. At least I hope I will.
so I'm torn because I know what colors he would be traditionally in Magic the Gathering, but this is not Magic the Gathering.
Okay.
This is Shades of Dominion. So, he could go uh, honorable, maverick, cruel. If I wanted to lean in a more magic direction, I give him a devious because he is an elf. He has that kind of chaotic nature to him. But he's not neutral. Would you call him an evil? Is he chaotic neutral? Is that what I'm looking at here?
No, he's very much a member of the nobility, so he's more likely to be lawful than chaotic.
So he's is he
He wouldn't
lawful
even
neutral?
actually. I would almost put him lawful evil because of the personal motivations.
Okay, all right,
He's willing to do what it takes, and that's not usually a sign of someone who's good.
okay. Um,
I was actually looking at Sinister for him, but I'm not sure if that's appropriate, and I'm having trouble getting the page
and
to fit properly. There.
actually, Sinister could work.
Okay. Sinister is on 36.
Here's
And
the
I'm
thing:
having to scroll through slowly here.
if I
Sorry, go
wanted
ahead.
to make if I wanted to make a character that was um Elven Shadow Undead, I would go Devious
Mm, why undead?
because of
Not sure where
corruption.
you're making that connection. Sorry?
Um, the Dying Realm thing. However, that thematically destruction could also serve that same purpose, or even Aether. Aether could serve that as well. Um,
Yeah. I'm looking at Sinister. Sinister doesn't fit, to be fair.
how about Maverick? Check out Maverick. And if Maverick doesn't
Mm,
do it, look up Cruel.
oh, Maverick. See here. Fierce independence, rebellious spirit, guided by a strong sense of justice, desire to make the world a better place. The second clause fits. The fierce independence, kind of. Yeah, it does fit for a Nuada-based character, for sure. Those
Uh-huh.
who possess characteristic are unafraid to challenge status quo and break the rules if it means achieving a greater good. Yeah, that does align more with Nuada. Passion for freedom and a belief in the power of individual action. Passion for freedom doesn't quite fit, but the belief in the power of individual action definitely fits for him.
Okay,
In
now
in
give
his own case, that would fit. What was the
now
other
give
one you suggested?
Cruel. I don't know if Cruel is a good fit for
Okay, cool. There we go. Bold, calculating, desire to inflict suffering and achieve personal gain. Mm, he's not really driven to inflict suffering. I think
him. Okay,
maybe I need to reassess or lawful neutral. I think
so Maverick.
Maverick could work. Yeah.
Okay,
Let me have a
all right.
quick look at the table. See what
So
my other
we're gonna go
options
with
are.
Maverick then.
Give me just 1 second here. Sit back up and have a quick look at the options on the table there. Make sure I didn't miss anything. I already looked at Delphic. I know Delphic definitely doesn't fit.
Yeah,
Nefarious. Mm, see, there's a
I'll be
degree of
honest.
honor to him as well. Let me have a quick look at honorable. You may be right though. Maverick may be the one that fits.
Yeah, I'm giving. I'm gonna lean toward Maverick.
Death. Oh, I'm not too far. 6. Okay. I'm having a hard time pinning down the pages because I'm using such a small window to read. Honorable. Honorable embody a deep sense of integrity and commitment to doing what is right, guided by a balanced and fair approach. Well, he's not particularly fair and balanced, but he's definitely driven to do what he believes to be right. Hmm.
That
Help
sounds
others make the
Maverick
world
enough for
a better place,
me.
also respecting the importance of rules and traditions, delicate forming justice with fairness, top acting, mediators or advocates for those in need. Actually, honorable is starting to sound quite close to him. Not quite a strong
Honorable.
sense of Okay, no, sorry, hang on. This quality is marked by a strong sense of empathy. That's not my guy. Maverick, it is.
Maverick it is. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, this quality is marked by a willingness to take risks and a disregard for convention. Okay. Does that sound more like him?
Yeah, it suits the Nawada characterization because Nawada is basically turning his back on a bunch of traditions to do what he believed was right. So
Okay. All right. This is going to be a lot more intensive, which is good. I like this. All right. So we're going to have one aether, one corruption, and one purity to start off with.
okay,
And since we have Maverick, all right, let's go
one,
back to
two,
base movement is going to be 25. We're going to add that
30,
here to 5.
5 base movements,
And your power and toughness starts off as 3 each. So we're
3
going to
tough,
change that to 3 and
3
3.
tough. Okay, is that relatively high for a starting character?
It's middling.
Okay,
It's not bad. It's not bad. No, it literally is like balanced. Is what I'll say.
okay,
Um, all right. So after that, what we're gonna do. Oh, we're also gonna give you your resistance bonuses. Let's not forget
okay.
those. Um, 3 sanity, 3 coil, 1 grit, and 3 agency.
And no stamina. Crap.
Well, your stamina, your toughness is always your base. So
Okay,
so don't worry about that just yet. So what we're going to look at next is what was his background. Now he's a nobleman, right?
noble, but he's I would say more of a militant sort of nobleman. Think the Black Prince more than King John.
Yeah. Okay. Um. So definitely more of like a commander, kind of leader. Um.
Yeah, definitely a lead from the front sort of guy.
Okay. Um.
If you're looking for just uh, oh my background, I guess at this point.
Yeah. He would be. He could be mercenary, a militiaman, a noble, a
The
let's see what
ceremonial
else.
blade under noble works.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right. I'll go with
nobleman.
that. Yes, we will ennoble you. Yes, yes, yes.
Noble
All right.
background.
So for your background, we will put noble.
And
And as a
next.
noble, you get +1 purity, which means your purity goes up to 2.
Okay,
And you gain an asterisk in protection spells.
which
So you have
works very
protection.
well because if I remember right, Tybalt was one of Romeo's kind of bodyguards, so that kind of feeds into that
Yeah.
side of it.
Yes, very, very much.
Need to read Romeo and Juliet again and pay attention to everybody but Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah. They were honestly the worst part of the play. Let's be honest.
That's true.
All right. So protection. Let's increase your resistances. You get +1 sanity, so your sanity goes up to 4. Your agency goes up to 5, and your stamina goes up 1. So yeah, you got your stamina.
Okay, excellent. And I have
And
an
you
expensive
wanted
hat.
yes, well, you don't have an expensive hat. You can
Excuse me.
choose. You could choose an expensive hat to be your shade vessel.
Oh, I see.
So,
No, we'll definitely go with the blade for that then, because I definitely want to
ceremonial
have that.
blade. All right, shade vessel. We're gonna do ceremonial blade.
Now, I do have a question since I want to feed a little more into the Nawada character. Is it possible that that ceremonial blade is a variable length spear?
I'll allow it. I don't mind.
Okay. Yoki dokie then. Acrobatics definitely fits too. Healing, stealth, yeah. Geez,
Oh,
that really fits.
we are not. We're not done with his build out yet. So let's.
Yeah.
Okay, so acrobatics, heal, and stealth.
Yep. It's got that funky whirly gig symbol.
So acrobatics, heal, and stealth.
Oh, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Or more importantly, am I still here?
Yeah, you're there, and I'm. We're both being registered by OBS.
Oh,
Nothing is askew. All right, so
hello.
I'm still talking, dude. I'm still here. Ardent.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can still hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you again now. Could you hear me the
Okay,
whole
good.
time, or
Yeah, I could hear you the whole time.
even when I was going hello, hello?
Yep.
Okay, then I
Yes.
have a problem either with my mic or with Discord. So hopefully that'll sort itself out relatively quickly, but I expect it'll happen again.
Okay.
My internet is probably giving the world fits.
All right. So you have the noble pack. Oh, you get increase to your movement, so you're back up to 30.
Hmm.
All right. And so we have your background. You are of a noble background. Now, Maverick Awakenings. How did he awaken as a Shade Mage? Did you have a decent idea of how this occurred?
Not really. Let me have a look at the options here. Oh, the third one down, realizing the injustice of the realm, becoming determined to set it right seems fair. Or possibly accidental realm travel, but not with memory wipe.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
we'll go with the option there if that's something I can just choose.
okay. Yeah. Realizing the injustice of the realm, becoming determined to set it right. All right, we're gonna go with that. Do. So that is +2 purity. So you are up to 4 purity, sir.
Well, aren't I just a
Also,
shiny
and also you have spell templates in light as well,
okay.
and you gain +1 power and +2 toughness. So you're at 4 power and 5 toughness.
Okay. He's slowly becoming the combat monster I'm envisioning him to end up being.
Yeah, yeah, he's getting there. He's getting there. And last but not least, so that's his awakening. His awakening gave him that +2 purity. And now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna have you choose a shade vessel. Now, looking at your stats right now, you have no real investment in anything but purity. So I would recommend picking a purity shade vessel, either a celestial shade vessel or um an
Heraldic.
Aegis. You don't have any order library points yet, so
That's
I,
the
I would
point. So Celestial or Aegis, you said? Okay, there we go.
Correct.
I have to scroll down a bit. Every time exchange rolls have I can use damage to help you. Suppose. Oh, excuse me. I would say Aegis is probably the better choice. Let's
Okay.
see, Celestial. Hmm. I actually before we finalize that, uh, have we got a healer character in the party?
No.
I will take Celestial in that case.
All right. We have our healer. So trade vessel type is celestial. The purity thing goes up to 5, which means these 5, 5, 5. Damn, Ardent.
What? What have I done? I mean, I'm happy to hear it, but what have I done?
You know what you did, motherfucker. No, I'm kidding. Um, you have an obscenely high heal skill, sir.
I'm okay with that.
I know you are. Um, so look at your celestial, your sustainability is grace, and your siphon penalty is transgression. Hmm. All right.
Okay. And let's see.
Wow. God damn. Hmm.
I have created a beast, or
Pretty much.
yeah, I've basically created Sappho Healer. I think.
Hmm. Yeah, so you have 11 acrobatics,
Nice.
16 heal,
Oh, wow.
and 13 stealth.
Oh, so I'm sneaky too.
Yes. Well, I
I
mean,
can get
on
acrobatics
point,
up.
you're a fucking elf. You're freaking Legolas hopping on the goddamn snowdrift, you fucking knife ear. Goddamn.
What What's really funny is one of the characters that featured in the character concept as kind of part of the template. It wasn't Legolas. It was a different elf. It was Drift Do Erden.
I am not shocked by this knowledge.
Oh, this is wonderful.
Wait, so okay, remind me, what was his awakening again? His oh,
Realizing it's just for the realm.
set the realm right. Make the realm great again. What? There's
Oh
nothing to
my!
apologize for.
Make the realm the 51st state. There we go.
All right, so I will get this copied. Um,
I think it's funny that without necessarily intending to, I still ended up with the same dominion as last time.
Pretty much. Hey, I'm not mad about it.
Oh, definitely not.
Okay. Now your devices can handle Excel sheets, correct?
I should have something that will read an Excel sheet.
Okay.
And I use Apache, so if you know the, I think it's OD. No, that's text. Yeah, go ahead and send it as an Excel. I should be able to open it. Now the question
Okay.
is, where are you sending it? Are you sending it through Discord?
Yeah. Your personal
Okay.
DM.
Okie dokie then. I've got at least 2 people I haven't gotten back to. Oops. I'm absolutely terrible for Discord. If I'm not actively killing something, I'm almost never on Discord anymore.
I understand.
Also, I don't know if you're aware of it, but you are showing your screen.
Which screen?
The OneDrive.
No, it's fine. There's
Okay.
nothing hidden there.
Okay.
No secrets were revealed, I think.
What's this file that clearly says porn? That's where I keep my bakery
That is
recipes.
that is
If you look
fake
on
news.
my account, I can find my porn.
Everyone keeps their porn in the tax documents of 2019.
Speaking of which, I need to get my taxes done. I've got 5 days.
5 days
Uh-oh.
before you're audited by
I'm still here,
wait.
I swear.
All right. So,
Just can't hear anybody.
do you want to take a look at your spells?
Do, do,
Oh,
do, do,
wait.
do, do,
God
do.
damn. Kitty. Kitty. That
Yeah.
cheeky.
There we go. I'm back again. I can hear again.
All right.
How did I
Awesome. So,
how did I
Kitty,
fall through?
you know what we forgot to do?
Character aspect?
Yes.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because we didn't go over it.
So,
I don't
character
know if that was an
aspects.
earned thing or if that was going to be some like since the
Okay.
update, if it's earned
Okay.
or
So, the update for character aspects is as follows. It's the same deal. Your unique combination of aspects will affect how you interact in battle and turn the tide in your favor. These are the powers and abilities that set you apart from every other shade mage. I can sprack it. Okay. Aspects with the spell domain scores of 3 are always available at character creation. However, all aspects with spell domain scores 5 or higher must be earned in game. So we're limiting the amount of character aspects that that you have access to in the beginning. So you're only going to get the 3 on whichever one. So you are in corruption, and after we go through corruption, we'll go through ardence and refresh my memory. You had darkness and death, right?
yeah.
Okay. Okay, so darkness. We begin with your shade summoning aspects. Beckon. Whenever a shade summon you command deals damage to a target, that target's dominion becomes corruption. And at the start of your turn, the target gains a blight rune. For combat and utility aspects, you can summon a shadow weapon. When attacking in combat, you may choose to change your attack skill roll to intimidate instead. This ability can only be used if the opponent can see the weapon when attacked.
Let me
And
go look
for
for it.
huh?
I'm looking for it.
Okay. For spell slinging, you have Hysteria. Whenever a shade summon dies from a spell you cast, you can make a spell battery roll. And that should just say whenever target. Basically, you're getting your spells are being reinvigorated by the terror of death from your targets. Is the idea there?
So I'm looking at which ones? The 3s and 5s?
No, just the 3s.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Uh, let's take up Beacon.
All right.
I like that one
Go
a
ahead.
lot.
Do you need
So
me to write that down, or are you going to record that?
I'm going to record that where I recorded my things.
All right, and go ahead and take the Shade Affliction. You must give the enemy you face at least one stress rune before ending them.
Cool.
That is your Shade
And
Affliction.
can I also take on Shadow Weapon, or do I have to pick between the two?
Oh no, you can also take Shadow Weapon.
Wait, hold on. Those are both darkness. Shit, my bad. No. We'll
Yes,
take
yes,
on
they are.
Shadow Weapon
Yeah,
and off of Death. Where is? Oh shit! Did I overscroll? There it is. Stone Cold Soul and Shadow Weapon. We'll do that. I
okay.
think they balance well. Well, not balance well, but they counter each
They
each other
complement
well.
each other.
Yeah.
They complement. Um, so from Shadow Weapon, your Shade Affliction is that your face and bare skin must always avoid direct sunlight.
Cool.
Go ahead and make sure you have that marked down. And for your Stone Cold Soul, Stone Cold Soul reads that when attacked in combat, you may choose to change your defense skill roll to your endurance skill instead. This ability can only be used if you have made eye contact with the attacker before the attack was made. But this applies even if you were attacked surprised by the attack. So only if you're attacked from behind does this ability not count. But the Shade Affliction is that you cannot heal in any way any target with only one wound. I'm also going to include within that ruling granting immortality to a target. If they're reduced to their last wound, I would stop you from granting them immortality. That would count as a because you're getting in death's way, and
Yeah.
that's just not how we do it.
Flavor
Um,
and short don't get in the way of death.
Pretty much. That is your Shade Affliction. All right. So as long as you have those down, um, Ardent,
Yes, sir.
Senor. We have for your
I'll have a
character.
burrito.
Come again.
I'll have a burrito.
You'll have a burrito.
Yes, sí, señor.
Ah, ooh, isn't that pretty?
Yes. Also, ideally, I'll have said burrito delivered by Salma Hayek personally. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Salma Hayek, indeed. I swear to God, she and Eva Mendez. Anyways,
Yeah.
so you have you have scores of 5 in pretty much all of the purity domains.
Okay.
So, okay, remind me of um El Senor's ethos, like his
It's raison d'être.
yes.
Okay, give me just a moment to get it open again. Close it. There it is. I didn't close it, I just minimized it. Okay, good. No, that's not in the right place. I have windows jumping into places they're not supposed to be. Okay, there we are. Let's see here. Motivations. Restore the balance between nature and civilization by reclaiming the power of the dying ley lines and defending his people's ancient ways. I think we can kind of swing that around a little bit and say that it's more about uh, restoring his uh, realm to not necessarily prominence, but a healthier uh, state of being.
Okay. Um, so do you want to start looking at the light aspects first or the protection aspects?
Let's see. Healing comes in under protection, yes, or light.
Light actually.
Conception. Maybe you guys can create them and drink. Oh wait, no, maybe I'm looking at the wrong part of this. No, maybe.
Great.
What page am I supposed to be on here?
I think it would be 130. The top of the page starts with
Okay, yeah.
3
Shade
and says
aspects.
grace.
Yep. Let's see here. So at
I
5, conception.
no, we
Okay, I'm reading.
in
No.
2.0 you're limited to just the threes.
Ah, okay. Heals damage to me. Okay. Or strike when attacking in combat. You change your attack skill roll to your perception skill. Did we establish what my character's perception would be?
Yeah, your perception is 7. It's garbage. Don't take that.
I wasn't planning to, yeah.
Okay.
And what is the last one here? Grace. Every time you heal damage or regain a wound, you may spell battery roll or add +1 to your spell battery dice. Yeah, that's not bad. Let's see what else we got here. No. Oh, and I've probably lost most slightly again. If you can hear me, I'm down to the
Oh, we can hear you.
order aspects
Okay.
now, and I'm looking at Bark. Whenever you attempt a non-combat bluff skill roll,
Yeah, your character's not a bluffer. Although I do like Serenity. Serenity's not bad. Ardent.
can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay. I don't know what happened. I think my mic disconnected that time.
Yeah, I was recommending Serenity.
I was looking at Serenity. Yeah. That's one option. I'm just looking through the protection aspects here as well now.
Okay.
The first honor later. That does sound useful.
I had my eye on that one for you as well.
Passi- Given that my guy is very stealthy, pacifism comes
Yep.
possibly. Yeah, my guy's not much for avoiding combat though. That's a problem.
Yeah, but okay. Here's what's cool is the Shade Afflictions kind of match the theme more better than the aspect. The aspect is just kind of the bonus of the flavor. The Shade
Okay.
Affliction must always stand up for the weak or powerless
Yeah.
is pretty cool. And it kind of justifies your pacifism bonus if you are if you're simply avoiding a fight that should actually be avoided.
Yeah. Fair. So that's under where are we? Pacifism.
Yeah.
Prismatic aura. Just to have all of them read, I'll have a quick look at prismatic aura. Whenever you gain protection from a dominion, make a spell battery roll. Okay, and the affliction is you cannot be reduced to your last wound. Um, No, no, I don't like that one. The more damage I take, the more damage I take. No, no, I don't like that. Um,
Okay.
we were looking at pacifism. See, a +5 bonus must always stand up for the weak or powerless. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so am I only picking one of these, or
Yeah, you can take them both.
okay? So pacifism. What was the other one? Serenity. You suggested, right?
Yes.
Okay, let me have a quick look at serenity again, because there's something about duty first, honor later that kind of appeals to me as well, and that's not engaging in a fight that could be avoided.
Yep.
Let's see, duty first, honor later. Whenever a shade somebody controls survives around. Yeah, okay, we'll go with that one then. Duty first, honor later. So pacifism and duty first, honor later.
All right. So your shade afflictions are: you cannot engage in any fight that could have been avoided, which means that if you have a red mage, you're probably going to be walking away from them a lot. Now, because of pacifism, you have the following shade affliction: you must always stand up for the weak or powerless. So, um,
Well, if someone is picking on the weak and powerless, that's a fight that can't be avoided.
we'll see. We'll see. Now, did you want to take Serenity as well?
Take all three, you mean?
Yeah.
Let's see here. My clothing must always be immaculately clean while in public. Sure.
You're a filthy knife ear. Live up to your heritage.
It's not my fault you dirty animals don't know how to dress.
You say that. Um, Now you were here for the demonstration of what rune casting is, correct?
Uh, but I was kind of splitting my attention at the time, so
Okay. All right. Let's scroll down to the spell templates for purity. Da-da-da-da-dum. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum. All right. Purity spell templates, rune casting, and purity spells. Blessed. When anything has blessing runes, it is considered to be blessed. Blessing runes offer a +1 buff to all skill test rolls. Every time the target is readied, exhausted, or healed, prevent the next amount of damage equal and prevent the next amount of damage equal to the blessing runes on the target. This ability stacks with which each instance, meaning that if you heal them twice, you prevent twice as much damage as the number of blessing runes on them.
nice.
You cannot remove blessing runes. They're only automatically removed after a short rest.
Okay.
Now we have fetter runes. Anything that has fetter runes is considered to be fettered. In contrast to blessing runes, they are a debuff to all skill test rolls. And each time the target is ready, exhausted, or healed, you reduce the next amount of damage dealt by the target equal to their fetter runes.
Oh,
So
it's nerfing. I like it.
yes, you nerf them. You nerf them mercilessly.
Nerf them like
Now,
there is no tomorrow.
so on your turn, you may remove fetter runes equal to your agency so long as your agency is equal to or greater than the amount of fetter runes on you as a action. And you will need to pay a half action to get that done. Also, you may remove fetter runes outside of combat by paying stage aid equal to the fetter runes of your room, or take a long rest. A DC of 20 plus fetter runes. Streetwise check.
Number of feta runes, right?
Yes. 20 plus
Okay.
the number of feather runes. That is a streetwise check. We'll also remove the runes. Now, you have light spells, which, heal 3 damage. If the last source of damage caused you to, if the last source of damage to you caused a wound and the difference between that damage and your toughness is less than the damage currently healed, basically restore a wound. So,
Nice.
if you were dealt 2 damage, how do I put this? If you were dealt 5 damage and you healed for 5, obviously you would heal the wound. So anytime you heal in excess of your toughness, you're probably gonna get that wound back. Breath of Life, remove all damage from a single target and gain a blessing rune.
Nice.
Festival of the Angels, gain 2 blessing runes for each shade summon you currently command, and distribute them among any targets.
Oh, that's handy.
Yes. Restoration, ready any artifact spell. And for your aspect spells, you have healing. Whenever they deal damage, you heal that much damage. Pretty nifty. All right, I'm going to mute myself for a minute. I need to take a quick break. Um,
Okay.
if
Are we
y'all
going
would
to?
do me, if y'all would do me the honor of just giving your honest views on the system, I would just fill up the space because I need to take a short interlude. Give me a moment.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, one thing I can say is, and hopefully everybody can hear me. Uh, excuse me. One thing I will say is creating a character in this system, if you have a concept, is really simple, and that is wonderful for somebody. Uh, like I've played a lot of RPGs that were dice based, and while this one is still dice based, just having a character concept in a game like say D&D or whatever can be absolutely brutal when it comes to character creation because it's a question of finding balance between so many different things, and this is so simplified that it just got through it. Like I expected this to take an hour and it took what 15-20 minutes. So yeah, I mean it's definitely nice to have it fleshed out so quickly and have it so easy to customize based on the character concept. And that's kind of in a way the reverse of what happens with D&D because with D&D you tend to, or at least the way I've played almost exclusively, you tend to roll scores first and then build a concept around the abilities. Whereas with this, it was more selecting abilities based on concept, which really allows you to play a or to build a much more concept friendly character, I guess. Or well, yeah, it's definitely a more concept friendly system for creating characters. And yeah, I'm hoping everybody can hear me. And I notice Kitty isn't saying anything. Is he still there? Oh,
Am I muted?
okay.
No.
Ah, no, I can
Okay.
hear you now.
No, I was just listening in on your points because I really am a noob at all these games. You, Shade Master, probably most people who are watching this video all have a very well in-depth understanding of an RPG. Someone that's going to find an RPG like this is probably not going to have a hard time understanding it and can see things better than I can. But as someone who is new into RPGs but wants to get into them, I like how simple and fluid everything. I will back you up on that. It does feel very simple and fluid. Even if you don't have a proper concept, you could make one on the fly just by the information presented.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely. different take than I would have had. I would have expected as a newbie it would be much more confusing, but I see where you're coming from, though.
I can't say so. I don't see a tabletop RPG far different from an electronic RPG such as Fallout or anything like that, because well, yes, there's mechanical differences. Like I can't just go and pick a lock and twist a little knob or whatever. But like the skills are still there, the effects are still there. So
Yeah, kind of. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
having that gamer background in RPGs is helping me a lot with this, I would say, because I'm coming at this from the tabletop RPGs. I don't know how it compares to um, Bunkers and Badasses, the Fallout RPG, D&D, Call of Cthulhu. You name it. I've got no idea.
Okay. Um, have you ever played Knights of the Old Republic? Either of those games?
No, I haven't played any of the Star Wars. I haven't played World of Warcraft. I haven't played any of the Final Fantasy game.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I asked specifically about Knights of the Old Republic is because coming from a tabletop background, Knights of the Old Republic was probably the very first RPG video game that I played. And one of the really wonderful things about that game was when you, in combat, when you did damage to another character, it would actually show you like a flying and then fade out score, like -5, for example. And having that actually really tied into the idea of tabletop role playing gaming as well, because it was essentially seeing the effect of a dice roll.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your character, because I was, like I said before, listening with only half an ear.
Um, I didn't build my own character per se this time. I was running off of one of his old characters.
Okay.
If I did have a custom character, he would look a lot different than what I've got going on. I probably would have made a murder hobo high off his gas. Like,
Yeah.
I was thinking about the
We
last time we
should
played.
try to avoid murder hoboing this time, I think.
No, okay, so I was thinking about um last time we played Shades, and I liked the idea of my character's shade coming out of a mask. Because what I was gonna do is
Okay.
I was gonna, for my next character, same thing. He's gonna huff gas, but it's gonna have an adverse effect on his mental state, and I would be role playing as someone who needs the next hit. I need more shade. Give me more of the shade. Just let me huff on those fumes. And
I love it.
he would have been ambition all the way. There would be no death. There would be no darks. It's just give me what I want. I want it now. Give me it now. That's the kind of character that I want to build for a campaign where I wouldn't be playing as someone that wants guidance.
Okay. Well, and I'm very flattered because because basically I mm, I tweaked the character create. When I say tweaked, that's really understating it. Because y'all remember what the old character creation was, and it was extremely um abstract. Does that make sense? What would you say
Hmm.
that's accurate?
Yeah, I'd say it was a much more involved process as well last time.
Yeah, and this is far more guided, um, in a sense. And it also provides the player with the opportunity to randomize if they absolutely need to randomize and they don't want to think about what they want to build. That's 100% possible if that's what they want to do. Um, but no, the last the way that point that the original setup was is you just had mono shade build, dual shade build, and you were basically given your stats and you had to just get your library points. That was it. You chose your character aspects, your library points. Everything else was pretty much assigned, from what I recall, and you had to flesh a character concept around that. I think this is far more involved, and it's easier. Like I like unironically, adding this amount of detail made made the process simpler, and I don't understand that as an autistic numbers guy. But the creative part of the human brain craves this apparently. Am I off the mark here?
One more time, what was that? I was a little distracted.
Yeah, I just feel like even though the character creation process for this system has a few extra steps, it's for some odd reason it helps the human mind um, flow from one step to the other, as opposed to what you had to do before. Even though what you did before was a little more simpler in a way. Because
I
for
feel like
those of you,
this was made a lot simpler because it takes away. You've given tools to take away from the creative process, but not in a negative way. Like, if someone wants to be lazy, they can be lazy and just rip straight out of your book. Or someone could be very creative and understand what you're doing and flavor it and redesign it on their own behalf. That
okay,
you've given all the tools to fully flesh out an entire world millions of times over, and you've only added to it since I first played this game with you. What, half a decade ago now?
was it that long ago?
Yeah, because let's see, is just
Yeah.
under a decade because it's 2025 and I moved out there, out here in 2016,
Okay,
and we played our first session late 2016, early 2017. I want to say,
damn.
yeah,
Okay, shit, how the time flies.
yeah,
Um,
right.
The fly times, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, so I'm honestly flattered. I didn't know that it would be. I didn't know that what I wanted that I would be as successful at what I wanted to do as it apparently was. Um, because I realized that just character creation was grueling and uninspired before. And I feel that now, even though there's a ton more detail, players are they're just able to latch onto it faster. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Huh?
Um,
it's pretty streamlined.
okay. Okay, so Arden, do you have a good idea as to what spells and aspects and combinations you have? Because you have, if memory serves, you have 10 light spell templates and 5 protection. So,
Okay, so does that mean I can choose 10 from each? Or sorry, 10 from uh wait, yeah, 10 from light
okay,
and then 5 from
okay.
protection?
Okay. This, yeah, again, this is one of the changes I made. Because you have a celestial shade vessel, every spell you make with that shade vessel has to have at least one light spell template.
Okay.
So you're only going to have as many spells as there are light templates, but some of those light spells are going to have splashes of protection on them. So you need to decide how your protection is going to combine with your light spells.
Okay. Now I have to admit to being a little confused now because this is where we're getting into more towards the magic side of things than the D&D side of things.
Uh-huh. Okay. So,
So can you run that by me again?
all right, sure.
Oh,
Um,
and can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. You're fine. Um,
Okay.
so
Can you
so
guys
so
hear
you
me?
have the yeah, we can hear you,
I
dude.
can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay, good,
Well, I
good, good,
can hear
good.
you, Kitty. I don't know if I can hear Shades.
Can you hear me now?
I think he is intentionally
I'm not.
being quiet.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Gonna say because I'm not seeing any band around his
Hello?
avatar there.
Yeah, I think you can hear me. Give me a second. Can you hear me now? Yes.
Okay, I can
Okay,
hear you.
there we go.
Okay. All right. All right. There it is. Oh, I was clicked off. So yeah, yeah. That's a stupid weird thing that Discord does. Okay. So um back to your spell creation. So you have a celestial shade vessel, right? And
Okay.
it specializes in light spells. So in addition to your light spells, you also have knowledge of protection spells, right?
Okay.
So because your shade vessel is celestial and it specializes in light spells, you cannot create a spell that does not have at least one light spell template in it. Okay?
Okay.
So you have five protection points, five, five, yeah, five protection library points. Each of those library points are going to have to be attached to a light spell.
Okay.
So you're going to have 10 spells total or
Okay.
less. Um, but your protection spells are going to have to be nested into a light template.
Okay. Now this is like I say. Now this is where I'm getting confused. Now I don't understand this. The idea of combining spells and nesting
Okay.
them.
All right.
Okay.
So,
Maybe I should ask a more basic question. What is a spell template?
okay. A spell template is, for example, we're in the protection section right now. We have the
Okay.
unchanneled spells. Anoint is a spell template. Okay.
Okay. Now I understand.
Okay.
Okay then.
So, for example, you have the spell Anoint. It costs one
Hmm.
purity shade, and it says place two blessing runes on any target. Right? If we were to
Okay.
go back up to the light spells, Breath of Life, remove all damage from a single target and add and gain a blessing rune. These are both unchanneled spells. So, what you would do is you just combine the effects. For two purity shade, you can remove all damage from a single target and add three blessing runes to that target.
Okay. I actually wanted to ask you about that because the way the Breath of Life is worded, it seems like it would remove all damage from a single target, and then I would gain a blessing rune. Is that correct or incorrect?
That's incorrect. The blessing rune would go to the target.
Okay then.
Oh, wait.
So that should say grant a blessing rune.
Now you're confusing me. I'm second guessing myself. You know what?
Well, if it's to remain gain, then what would happen there is I would remove all damage from if I combine those two spells, Breath of Life and Anoint. Then what would happen would be I would remove all damage and grant two blessing runes to one target and gain a blessing rune myself.
I'm honestly good with either interpretation.
Okay,
In
then
fact,
I will leave.
I would be okay with remove all damage from a single target and distribute 3 blessing runes.
Okay,
To me, it makes no to me any of those interpretations really makes no difference in terms of gameplay. Uh,
okay,
the
yeah,
point is,
I was the
you,
wording there. So
yeah, the point is you're removing all damage from a single target and you are distributing 3 blessing runes. That's all that
okay,
needs to be established.
okay, so that's
Um,
2 unchanneled spells built into a single spell template. Yes.
correct. Yeah, that's 2 spell
Okay.
templates turned into a single spell.
Oh, sorry. Okay, 2 templates. I'm just making notes here. Equals
Yeah.
spell, breath of life, and okay. So, uh, does that mean that if I, for example, let's say I construct that spell,
Uh huh.
does does that eat up then one of my 10 spells permanently, or like is it a case of I'm building spells and once the 10 are filled up, they're done?
Okay. So what you have eaten, what you have spent, is 1 light library point and 1 protection library.
Right, but what he's asking is how does that work throughout the game? I believe you might be
Yeah, like
getting.
what I like, and again, where I'm coming from the D&D side of it, I'm thinking in terms of like resetting spells as after long rests. And what I'm
Oh,
wondering is, go ahead.
oh, I see. I see. You're thinking of it in terms of spell slots.
Yes.
Can I
Okay,
express how I could translate this?
go ahead.
Your library point is your library, which would be consistent of your spell book. Your spell book is all you have. It would be like a wizard. He picks up his spells and he picks up more as the game progresses from
Okay.
D&D.
And then sip and siphon grants me mana essentially to
Yes.
power the spell. Okay. That 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 I can understand much more clearly. Okay, so I'm using
Instead of having
uh,
spell slots that you
my
expend,
library points to create spells.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so if we said that, then that's 1 light, 1 protection, and I still have then would be 9 light and 4 protection, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you had said earlier that I have to, if I use a protection uh, point, I have to use a light point with it, but I don't necessarily have to do the reverse. I can use light points by themselves.
Correct.
Okay. And that's all based on shade costs.
Shade cost and your shade vessel type. Correct.
Okay. Okay. Now, where does the shade vessel type come into it? Because it's
Oh,
celestial, that gives me what options I can pick from, like for light or protection, or
yes. The
okay,
shade vessel type being celestial means that every single spell that's made by that shade vessel needs to have at least 1 light spell template.
okay, that makes sense. Okay then. Uh, so in future, as this character progresses, am I able to gain more shade vessels? And I realize I'm asking questions I probably had answers to before, but I just want to make sure of 2 things: one, that I have it clear, and two, that it's clear for the audience as well.
Okay. Let's talk about character advancement
Okay.
since we're going there. We're going to talk about really one of the secrets of of the Shades of Dominion. So we're going to go over character development, and advancement, and we're just going to start from the top. Shades of Dominion is a game where character development is intended to happen holistically. As you create your character and make their choices, as they accept or reject the Shade's price, your character development will be determined by what you earn and are given via roleplay with various NPCs, adventures, and quests. Finding various old secrets from the Age of Magic to grant your players library points to build new spells will be easy enough, but in terms of leveling up and adding more dominions under your belt, there's only one path to do that. You must deny the Shade to grow your power in the Shade. You following so far?
Yep.
Okay. Next section. Deny the Shade, and the Shade will deny you. As the players adventure forth, occasionally they will misbehave and do things we don't expect or that runs contrary to their quote unquote nature. Basically, you will break from the shade afflictions that bind that they will break from the shade afflictions that bind them. When this occurs, they will experience something called shade burn. Next to the player's shade affliction is 3 boxes. Whenever that affliction is violated, tick one of the boxes. They are then hit with shade burn. Shade burn is a d6 per ticked box of damage. So if you have 2 boxes of ticked off on that shade affliction, you roll 2d6, and that's how much damage you take. The damage acts as if it has cleave and will not stop at the first wound. Cleave is basically the Shades of Dominion's version of trample. When a character is normally hit with damage that exceeds their toughness, they don't take extra damage, they're just exhausted, and they lose a wound.
Okay.
Cleave does the exact opposite. It says, no, I'm not going to stop at your first wound. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to deal more damage anyway. And you can lose multiple wounds if the damage is high enough with Cleave. So it is possible that a player can violate the same affliction multiple times before interacting with the Shade and Shade Burn. Just roll d6 for the number of boxes ticked. After Shade Burn occurs, do not untick the boxes. The next time the violation occurs, simply roll the d6 marked up to 3 the next time they interact with the Shade. Now we get to refraction.
Okay. Actually,
Refraction,
before you go on, I just want to ask a quick question, some mechanics related thing.
uh-huh.
So after shade burn occurs, do not untick the boxes. So that means that whatever value is in that box, is that with the shade mage pretty much perpetually,
Yep.
or is there a way to clear it?
There's no way to clear it. Once
Okay.
you break your Shade Affliction and get that tick, you will now you won't get burned every time you use the Shade, but you will get burned every time you use the Shade after violating that any Shade Affliction or that particular
Okay.
Shade Affliction. So refraction. Shade burn will get annoying and deadly for any Shade mage, but Shade burn is not the worst thing that can happen to you. The fate all Shade mages fear is called refraction. Refraction is its own track on the top of your Shade Affliction table. You tick a box in the refraction track whenever a Shade Affliction is violated for the first time, a Shade Affliction track has all 3 boxes filled, a Shade Burn deals over 7 damage in one go. Each time any of those 3 things occurs, you tick a box in the refraction track. There's 5 refraction track boxes. So each time one of those things happens 5 times, then you automatically refract.
Okay.
Once the refraction track has all 5 boxes filled, 1, immediately deactivate all the player's aspects and shade abilities. Their shade vessel is also destroyed.
So
They
does that
then,
render them completely normal? Sorry.
yeah, pretty much.
So that's just character death, is it?
Yeah, not necessarily. It could be. Depending on the
Okay.
state they're in when this happens, it could be very deadly.
Okay.
Um, they roll a d6 equal to your combined Dominion scores plus 1d6 for each character aspect that was deactivated.
Hmm.
So, you know those things that you chose with the shade afflictions? If
Yep.
you add those to this roll, you lose a wound for each 4 plus. So it could take you out. Like no joke. It could easily take you out if you roll high on this pool. Refraction can kill you. Absolutely.
Okay.
If they're still alive, they are alive, but they lose all access to the shade. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So
This brings
you could conceivably have a character that is completely cut off from the shade, but still playable.
yes.
Huh. Okay.
So the trial of the shade. When a mage survives refraction, they have just survived having all the shade that had been inside of their bodies ripped out of them. Their shade vessels has been blown to smithereens, and their connection to the shade has been completely severed. Reduce their stats back to the Dominion scores granted to them based on their essence and background alone. Note, you do not remove their library points. That's important later. They must travel the realms broken and powerless to rediscover or reignite that connection. And the only true way for them to do that is to connect with the shade by assuming another essence, discovering a new shade vessel, and experiencing another awakening.
Ooh, jeez.
You have
I
to
like it.
develop as yeah, you have to develop as a character. You have to have
That makes
go on.
I was going to say that makes me think of in terms of an analog to something like a resurrection or reincarnation spell in D&D. Generally, there's a quest involved in that as well.
Yeah. So here's how it works. They must connect to an essence that shared at least one dominion with their previous essence. While they cannot jump from virtuous to nefarious or from nefarious to Delphic, this should also be an essence inclined toward the behavior that caused the refraction in the first place. If a nefarious mage refracted because they are becoming too sentimental, they should probably be guided toward a more positive essence like maverick or honorable. If a virtuous mage refracted because she stopped always telling the truth, she can choose a more pragmatic essence like Delphic, Maverick, or even Sinister.
Hmm.
Once a proper essence is identified, and this should take at least 2 gaming sessions to perform, the mage can attempt at reconnecting to the shade by recreating a new shade vessel. And then we
There's
have,
another aspect to this as well. One of the big problems with D&D was the alignment system and players not playing their alignment. That tended to be a big gripe amongst DMs. And
yeah,
this actually causes uh, how to put it, in-game penalty for not playing your alignment. So I
yeah.
like that too.
So more mechanics, more rules, more fun stuff. To create a new shade vessel, spend a long rest in concentration with the shade vessel and pay all of your current wounds. Now, understand that you're paying your wounds, okay? For each wound paid, you roll a d6. For each 4 plus, add that many sip levels to your new shade vessel. For each roll of 6, you get to regain a wound. If no 6 was rolled, the shade did not spare you and your character has met their end. Make a new shade mage.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, refraction is no joke. Like it's almost a virtual death sentence. But if you have
Almost, yeah.
survived
But
creating, sorry, go on.
yeah, I was going to say almost, but the fact that there is a potential, almost miraculous sort of epic sort of way to get it back. I mean, that's the way role-playing games should be. You should be playing an epic character who does epic shit.
Yes. Now, if you have survived creating a new shade vessel,
And I've
you
lost
have
sound again.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Am I not? Hang on. Let me do this. Am I there now? Am I back? Hello? Okay. I'm assuming that the audience can hear me because the OBS tells me they can. Um, if you have survived creating a new shade vessel, you have reestablished your connection with the shade. You will now
Okay, can you
add.
guys hear me again?
Yes, I can hear you
Or
I
I
again.
can hear
assume
you.
still, because I can't. Oh, I can hear Kitty again.
You can hear me? Can you hear me? Yes. Ardent.
Is
I
the
cannot hear the
Discord
shade
being
man.
a dick again, or what?
I think it's being a dick to you.
I could hear him through the YouTube, but I cannot hear him through the call.
Really?
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
No, I can hear you through the call now.
Okay. All right.
I
You
have the
know
YouTube
what?
window.
Okay. I know what it is. I'm in a hotel.
Okay.
That might be it. I might be dragging.
Eating,
So
yeah, being like eating too much of your bandwidth.
okay. So let me get through this. You will now add the selected new essences dominion bonuses. So um then from that essences section, you will choose a new awakening and add those bonuses as well. These are your new dominion scores. So you had an old essence. You had your background from that essence. And then you had an awakening from that essence. You then gain a new essence and a new awakening score from that essence, and that becomes your new character base. Making sense?
Yep.
So note when adding your new essence bonuses, do not add movement base and or power toughness bonus, only the dominion and resistance bonuses. You will add the power toughness bonus from your chosen awakening. So your awakening power toughness bonus will be added. You will create a new shade vessel from your new essence, but the affliction will be modified to include being able to create spells from your former essence. So if your previous shade vessel was necromantic and you want your new shade vessel to be celestial, the affliction and domain type of your new shade vessel will be affliction. Every spell crafted using this shade vessel must include at least one spell template from either death or light. Its domains are death and light, and refracted shade vessels do not have stain or siphon effects. That whole kicker and kicker and boon from staining or siphoning goes away when you refract.
From the
Once you have,
original.
yeah.
Okay.
So you calculate the rest of your character sheet, adding all your new bonuses, siphon roll, shade test, cantrip bonus, etc. And at this point, you may either regain all previous character aspects and shade afflictions, or choose new ones based on your growth. It's up to you. Then you may automatically regain all of your previous spells and continue learning spells from that point, or pool all of your library points together and create an entirely new spell library. Again, either one is up to you. Also, when you started the game, you could have up to 5 shade afflictions. Every time you refract, the number of shade afflictions that can affect you decreases by 1. So, yes, every time you refract, if there is a player that survives 5 different refractions, they will be completely shade affliction free. Good luck getting there, but it is possible. Um, Now, I'm going to add one more thing to this stream, and it's going to
Okay.
be on character aspects and shade afflictions, because this is a very important thing I learned about translating decks into characters, which was an actual goal for this system. I have still failed at that. We're not there yet because honestly, I want to do more role play than I want card mechanics in my game. So we're going to talk
Sure.
about another way you will need to accommodate a player bringing their deck to the game is to look at their enchantment cards. In this RPG, those cards are replaced by character aspects. Feel free to create unique character aspects for these players if they are not already represented in this core set, but they must include appropriate shade afflictions to accompany them. Creating shade afflictions, therefore, is the key. A shade affliction must contain these three parts. One, they are absolute statements. They contain the words must, always, never, etc. Absolute statements. Two, they are not up to interpretation or speak to the intention of the character or the player. This is not a mind game. This is not about feelings. Three, they are always, they always directly affect the physical interactions of the player character. Shade afflictions are not psychological or internal. They're like compulsions or the lack of a compulsion. You ignored the compulsion. You ignored um, the twisting of the knife, as it were. And this is because shade afflictions are intended to be a wrench in the gears of the players from letting them do whatever they please. They are the fetters the shade has placed upon them. You have no need to feel embarrassed if the shade affliction puts a player in a bind or forces them to do something disadvantageous. It's even better if the shade afflictions of the player characters put them at odds with their own party. That is part of the fun of playing as a shade mage. So when you talk about role playing your alignment, yes. And I realized this early on with this system, very early on. Um, I realized that the irrational um, glass cannon character of a pyromancer who's in chaos and combustion could theoretically be a good face for the party in terms of having charisma or intimidation or bluff or diplomacy. That, just hypothetically, that could happen. And to stop the meta from bleeding over into the actual role play of the system. That's why you need shade afflictions to balance things out. So, any other questions about character development? Arden, you're muted. Kenny?
I am present. I have no questions. I'm going to learn as I go. He,
Okay.
however, had to step away.
All right. Well, I think that's about it. We have been going on for about 2 hours and 48 minutes. I think we're good to cut it off here. We've made two characters. We've gone over not just character creation, but character advancement. Um, I think we've done pretty well for today. Um, any closing comments? Any complaints? Any recommendations?
Mm, no, I'm just excited for us to get into it again. Curious as
Yes.
to when or how we're going to get the rest of our party, or what the rest of the party is going to look like.
Sorry about that. I had to step away for a minute.
Ah, well, I was just going over. Did you? How much did you hear about
I
the?
was listening while I was gone.
Oh, okay. So again, thoughts, criticisms? Any more questions?
Um,
Were there any more
I
questions
heard
about?
I heard that bit about fire and combustion and such, and you're just building Tim the Necromancer from Monty Python's Holy Grail. Come on.
Yeah, um, pretty much. But at least Tim the Necromancer wasn't trying to be this goody two shoes.
That's a very good point.
So, I wanted to make sure that if you were playing the corruption mage, you weren't like, I don't know. I felt the need to make the I felt the need to use shade afflictions to keep the alignments in check, and I think I struck a pretty good balance. Um, so are we good?
I, I
So-
I would have to agree with you. It does seem fairly balanced, though some of them are a little zany, which is fine.
Which one?
Yeah.
Yeah, but well, you said that they're a little what?
Oh, a little zany, a little
Oh,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Which yeah,
yes.
that's fine.
Well, I mean, if it's not a little zany, I mean that there's no fun then.
This is true.
Um, all right. So I think we're good. I think this has been a fantastic character creation. I think we got two characters out of it. Now, do you guys need character sheets to copy all this information down on, or do you guys already have
I
Uh,
would appreciate a sheet.
it?
Is
All
there
right.
I'm
one with yeah with the document that you sent me?
No. You'll have to transfer the data from that Excel sheet to the character sheet that I'm about to send you.
Okay. Speaking of Excel sheet, did you send me one?
I did.
Oh, personal
Oh,
DMs.
no, no, I didn't. I forgot to hit enter.
Oh, there it is.
I totally sent it to you, man. I totally sent it to you. I swear.
Okay, I've got it now. I'll throw that up.
Uh-huh.
Uh, let me make sure I can open that before I say I'm good. Yeah, I've
Yes.
got Excel, so I can open it.
Fantastic. Phenomenal. Do-
Okay, I do believe I'm good. I'll get
All
all that
right.
stuff organized, and I will get the character background and profile worked on a little bit. I've already done a couple of small changes while we were talking, so
All right.
I'll.
And for everyone who watched, who wants to see what their character sheets look like, we will be putting that up in the Discord as soon as they are published. All right, everyone. It's been good. I thank both of my guests for coming on and making characters with me. This has been fun, and we will be playing the what did I say? This was the Quest for the Holy Grail in the realm of Innistrad. And yeah, it's literally the Holy Grail, and we're gonna include some newfangled tips and tricks for how to add cards, like actual magic cards, to the scenario, because every scenario that I've made for this module has been basically I bought packs of cards, opened them, and made a scenario based on the pack of cards that I opened. And I'm going to share what cards that I've pulled, what cards they're going to be facing off with and against. One of the cards that's pulled in the first scenario that I made is actually going to be a template that the players can either learn or adapt to if they have the right skills for it. And it's going to be one of those. Um, do we fight the big baddie or do we get the MacGuffin? And the spell's going to be the MacGuffin. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be fun, guys. You're going. It's going to be worth it. So stay tuned, and we'll see you guys next time. Uh, go throw some shade. Speaking of, any shilling for the two gentlemen
Um,
here.
well, you know that I am absolutely the attention whore of the internet. I will be doing my regular gaming stream tomorrow during the day. That generally starts around 10:30, 11 o'clock Newfoundland time. That will be followed by my regular Sunday show, Arden's After Party, which is a news and, as interspersed as I can manage it, meme roundup. And then on Monday, I am on, I believe, with He is the Eunuch for Discordant Dragons. So hopefully
Beautiful.
all three of us work out neatly, and I will cease to have camera troubles because I was supposed to have a Monday media review ready to go for Monday as well for the first 3 episodes of Andor season 2. Unfortunately, my camera decided to burp and lose the file. So,
Oh shit. That
yeah,
sucks.
these things
I
happen.
I
I
need to ask,
uh,
was Andor any good?
it's not bad. It's not what I'd call Star Wars though. It's
Oh,
Are you old enough to remember the original series before the prequels came out?
the original, like the first trilogy?
The first 3 movies, yeah. Are you old enough
Yes.
to remember when that was
Yes.
all the Star Wars we had except books?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's not who this series has been made for. This series has been made for the kids who were real young when the prequel trilogy came out and the ones that really loved all the political intrigue because that's what this especially this second
Oh
season
God.
is. It's not
Oh,
really, it's more a political thriller than a spy thriller. The first season was actually pretty good. And Stellan Skarsgård is an absolute standout character in it. But the second season, yeah, they kind of pulled the expectable woke bait and switch, and now it's all about the strong females. Uh,
disgusting.
yes.
Anyways,
What's really
so
funny is one of the strong females, they've turned her into an absolute, well, bad word that I won't say on your stream.
thank you. I appreciate your self censorship. That means I won't get knocked on by Susan. Oh, she's dead. Never
Yeah.
mind. Anyways,
When did that
um,
happen?
Well,
yep,
whatever,
yep.
whatever Susan analog has taken over for Susan.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Godspeed and go throw some shade.